That's it? A huge explosion hit the industrial area of Ras Haslafan in Qatar near Doha on Sunday night, one of the world's most sensitive energy hubs. The fire started during the resumption of operations at the Barzan gas facility inside the complex managed by Qatar Energy and left 13 dead and 66 injured. According to authorities, the explosion instantly put Iran at the center of speculation. The region is experiencing heightened tensions, with the Strait of Hormuz under surveillance. Negotiations between the United States and Iran are advancing in Switzerland. American military planes are in the air, and there is a recent memory of Iranian attacks against energy infrastructure in the Gulf. Ras Haslafan is not just any facility, it is part of Qatar's energy heartland, a small nation on the map, but a giant in natural gas. When a structure of this size explodes, the world looks at the smoke and also at the context. Was it really an accident? Why did this happen right now? How did a failure at Ras Haslafan become a political warning against Iran? I'll tell you all about it in a moment. If you like this kind of straightforward, no-nonsense content, consider subscribing because we have videos like this every day. The explosion occurred in Ras Haslafan Industrial City in northern Qatar, within the Barzan facility connected to the local gas supply. The teams were working on resuming operations when the explosion and fire occurred. Images circulating on social media show a strong flash in the distance and a column of smoke rising at the site. Civil defense teams and authorities were sent to contain the flames, assist the workers, and isolate the area. Qatar's Minister of Energy, Saad Sharida Al-Kabi, said that the incident was an operational accident, not hostile in nature, and that Qatar's liquefied natural gas exports were not affected. This statement tries to rule out the possibility of an attack. But in the international news, the doubt did not disappear because Ras Haslafan was already in the middle of a bigger crisis. The complex had been under closer observation since previous Iranian attacks on energy facilities in the region, and Qatar was trying to regain its position amid the tightening in the Strait of Hormuz. What stands out is the political timing of the case. The explosion came at the same time that the Trump administration is trying to extract commitments from Iran regarding nuclear inspections, free passage in Hormuz, and escalation control in the Middle East. J.G. Vance left Switzerland after the talks and returned to Joint Base Andrews on the official plane, while technical negotiators would continue working. The White House wants to present the moment as progress. Iran, under pressure, tries to convince its public that it hasn't given up everything yet. And in the midst of this, a key piece of Qatari infrastructure explodes. The American vice president treated the agreement as a starting point, not as a final deal. That's where the explosion in Ras Haslafan gains significance. Even with the official version of a technical failure, this is no ordinary day for the region. At the same time, American KC-135 refueling planes and a P-8 Poseidon maritime surveillance aircraft were spotted in the region. This kind of movement doesn't happen by chance. The United States continues to view the Gulf as a real risk area. Iran knows that Hormuz is a pressure point. The Iranian regime has lost ground at the negotiating table and is trying not to appear defeated in front of its allies. That's why any explosion in energy infrastructure, even if classified as an accident, becomes fuel for suspicion. Qatar is also in a delicate position. Doha acts as a mediator in several Middle Eastern crises, talks with Washington, engages in dialogue with groups in the region, and tries to maintain its role as a diplomatic bridge. At the same time, it relies on a reputation for security to sell gas to the world. An explosion in Ras Haslafan damages that image. Even without interrupting exports, the political impact is there. The visual message of a column of smoke in a strategic energy area is enough to create fear in the market and pressure on governments. The victims were workers who were at the facility at the time of the operational restart. The updated report mentions 13 dead and 66 injured. Qatari authorities stated that the injured received medical care and that the accident did not pose an environmental threat or risk to the public outside the industrial area. Even so, the human toll is heavy. Families were directly affected by a failure that happened in one of the most monitored and important places in Qatar. The Qatari government is trying to control the narrative quickly. The statement that there was no sabotage aims to reassure investors, energy buyers, and diplomatic allies. In normal times, a technical explanation would be enough. In today's Middle East, it's not enough. Iran is under pressure, Israel remains on alert, Hezbollah continues to be a point of tension in Lebanon, and the United States maintains a military presence to ensure that the Iranian regime does not use Hormuz as leverage. The Israeli government sees Iran as the center of the network of threats that includes Hezbollah, regional militias, and nuclear pressure. The negotiation in Switzerland showed this clash. For his part, Vance said that the United States achieved important advances, including the mechanism for Hormuz, nuclear inspections, and technical talks. On the other hand, sources linked to the Iranian regime tried to downplay the scope of the American statement by saying that certain points were still not finalized. This dispute over the narrative shows that Tehran does not want to appear tamed by Trump. The regime needs economic relief, but it also needs to keep up appearances before its internal hardliners. The return of ships through the Strait of Hormuz is another sign of pressure on Iran. If the strait remains open, the threat loses force. If nuclear inspectors return, Iran's secrecy loses ground. If technical negotiations move forward under the supervision of the United States, the regime has less room to stall for time. While Qatar was dealing with the explosion, another front showed how modern warfare targets critical infrastructure. Ukraine hit a military electronics factory in Russia's Voronezh region, identified as a supplier of components for Iskander and Kuan 101 missiles as well as Panzer S-1 systems. The Ukrainian offensive is not directly connected to Ras Haslafan, but it reveals the same broader pattern right now. Energy hubs, military factories, maritime routes, and logistical bases have become priority targets. Whoever controls the infrastructure controls the pressure. There was also an alert in the United States following the information about the crash of an MH-60 Jayhawk helicopter from the Coast Guard near Sitka, Alaska, with search and rescue underway. The case is separate from the Gulf crisis, but it reinforces a week of high operational tension for American forces. Hormuz remains under surveillance, American planes remain active, ships cross with caution, Vance returns from Switzerland talking about progress, and Tehran tries to escape the image of surrender. The fire was in Qatar, but the pressure fell across the entire Gulf chessboard. I'm Milson Alves, Global International Affairs Analyst, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the Milson Alves community.